Hello, Playdate. This is Don.
This is Nick.
And I'm Ryan.
This week we are covering Playdate news.
Indie games of the week.
And Season 1, Week 11 releases.
All right. Thanks for listening. Let's get started. Speaking of starting, there was just a new patch.
Yay.
Playdate OS patch 1.12.2 was just released. We got a patch last week that broke a bunch of side-loaded games. So this one unbreaks the side-loaded games. So that's just a quick news note. Update your Playdate. Get those games going. Also, quick note is that all of our indie games of the week we put into a big community playlist, I guess, on itch. So they've all been added to this itch list, so you can see them all. They're not really ranked. All I did was any of them that had yellow art, I moved to the top because it was more aesthetically pleasing. That's the only thing I did.
You were serious about that. I didn't realize that was actually the case when you said that in Discord. I thought you were just donning us.
Well, I had Tochi up there. I still might because you like it so much, but there's no yellow on it, and I was like, I kind of like
Tochi,
it a little more pop.
SN Studios, get on the yellow.
Add that frame. Well, thanks for doing that, Don. That
totally
looked like a lot of work, and I appreciate it.
That is
Wasn't
very
too bad.
cool.
But there's also notes on each game that says which episode we talked about it and who talked about it. So if you want to hear more about a certain game, just look at the little note there, and you can hop onto whatever episode it was to hear more.
Don, you're too good to us.
Fantastic. But speaking of Tenchi, or was it Tochi?
Tochi
2, the second of the Tochis.
Yeah, you want to give us an update, Ryan? I know you're dying over there.
I do. Here we go. Okay, Tochi 2.
Tochi Corner.
So excited.
Here. Yes.
Senchi got an update, and there's a number of fixes and some new stuff. We'll include the link to it in the show notes for today's episode, of course, but it says there is a new use case for the pickaxe. Rocks will now be breakable. New sound effects, new tiles, and one of the new line items is in Morse code. And I de-Morse coded it. And it says new rooms. So look out, Tochi Tours. There's new stuff to explore in this update. Boopity boop boop boop. Tochi update over. Oh my gosh, we forgot our bumper. Boopity boop 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 boop. We're in the news and notes section.
Damn, I thought we were in the clear. Okay. If you want your game mentioned every week, just make Ryan's favorite game and then update it, and it'll be mentioned on every episode.
Tochi is probably the most frequently mentioned game on this podcast, isn't it?
It has to be.
I believe so, yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Nuts. You're welcome, SN Studio.
Speaking of a lot of work, though, I did want to point out that one of our wonderful listeners has made a spreadsheet of our game rankings for Season 1. And that is available in the Discord under our Season 1 rankings channel. So if you would like, it's pinned even. So check it out.
So cool. So big thanks, big props go out to Fecto Factor 13. Thank you so much for doing that. And not only is it listed in a spreadsheet, but it's also, how would you say, averaged, so that if you want to see how Don and Nick and my rankings stack up when averaged and what we think is the best game, if you mashed our heads all together, that's there too.
It's interesting. One of these, because they're all next to each other, I noticed one of Nick's top game is Ryan's bottom game. I don't know if I noticed that before.
Yeah, I have noticed that all along since revealing that game. And I keep watching every week to see if it goes up or down, and it remains at the bottom. So
there's some vice versa too.
There's a little bit. Yeah. Not a whole lot of dead center ones, but a couple that are close. Anyway, really cool. Thank you, Fecto Factor 13, for doing that.
Yes.
And you can click on the top of the columns and all that to sort it. It's really, really fun.
It's really
I guess you wouldn't need to. I guess I didn't scroll over far enough to get the sorted rank. I clicked on different columns. Speaking of different columns, this is not a segue that works very well. But Art 7 is finally out. The word Art 7 times is finally out from Leadbetter Games. It's on itch. Let me pull up the page. It's only a few bucks, I think. But this is one I had my eye on for a while.
Same.
And didn't really know what it was. Just like an art gallery you keep in your pocket. And Are we talking about it now? Or are we talking about it in a different episode? That's something we should have talked about before the show.
We really should have.
Riveting podcasting.
Yes. But, well, I will say, if this wasn't given a review copy, was it given to us? I think it was.
It was, yes.
Copy. So thank you to Ledbetter for the review copy.
Yes.
But if it was not, this probably would have been my indie pick of the week anyway, because it is a cool idea, and there's a meta game to it. So you're not just walking around looking at art. There's a little more going on there. Pretty interesting. So definitely worth a look.
Well, are we talking about this, or are we not talking about it?
I mean, this has got to be an indie pick of the week some week, right? Like we can dive into this a little deeper.
Yeah. All right,
we can go a little meatier. Okay.
Okay.
Well, we'll just say it's out. It's worth a look.
Okay.
And it's an indie pick of the week contender, and there's a demo too. I guess the demo is still up. Sometimes people pull the demos down when the full game launches, but this has both. So take a look, see what you think.
Worth a look. And
we'll have to do a spoiler cast, maybe.
Dying to talk with you all about it. So soon.
Wow, it was released on 7/7 at 777 beats. What is that? 777 minutes into the day? I don't know. I don't know. That's pretty neat, though.
That's too deep for us. Makes sense for an art game, though.
Yeah.
Also, I really dropped the ball on this one. We were also given review codes for Playtime, which is a collection of 40 weird clocks for the Playdate.
Oh,
and
awesome.
I hope to talk about this one a little more too, but I didn't realize it was released. I just thought it was like, oh, this is cool, man. It looks pretty finished. So let us know when I emailed him, hey, let us know when the game's out. He's like, oh, it came out 5 days ago. So I felt like a jerk, but this is by Adams Immersive. I went ahead and tweeted once I realized my mistake, but it is pretty cool. Yeah, there's all these different clocks. This is like the gold standard for how a settings menu should be done on the Playdate.
Yeah,
it's like a separate chapter, a separate app, I guess, built into the Playdate, like a separate menu option, and then it's got all these different features. And I love the way the settings work. I mean, it's a cool tool anyway. All these different clocks, but on top of that, I hope more settings get added into the menu instead of just that little pop-in menu. That's fine, but it gets a little too full, the little Playdate menu, or too limited too. Like I feel like people feel like they're limited, so they only put 1 or 2 options in there. Whereas Playtime puts like 1 million settings in there.
Nice.
You can really dig in and customize it. So,
well,
I hope more games do this.
I've been following this one for some time, so I'm looking forward to digging into that one.
Some of the clocks I watched the Destination Playdate YouTube video for this for Playtime. I keep wanting to call it Playdate. I'm glad I did, because some of the clocks I didn't really understand how they work, despite the lengthy descriptions. And he kind of spells out a few of them on the YouTube video. So I'll have to put a link in the show notes for that. Some of the clocks I still don't understand, especially this, like the different animal body parts that get jammed together. I don't know. Over my head.
It took me a little bit to decipher some of them. Like I didn't even realize they were clocks at first, like the terrain that looked kind of like an RPG game or something like that. But once you get it, it's a neat little revelation. So good work on that. And with all that said, I think that brings us to the boopity boop 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 indie games of the week. Nick, you want to start us off?
Shove-It, Ryan. Oh, sorry.
Wow.
That's the name of my game. It's
you really are
Shove-It.
ready to replace me.
Shove-It is a cool little puzzle game. And it's, as with many of the games that I've highlighted, it's kind of pulpy. Meaning it was made in pulp. But it's really fun. So I don't know, Ryan, have you played some of the Dragon Quest games where there are static tiles on the floor that zip you forward, and you have to find the right tile to stand on to get to the exit that you want to achieve?
No, that sounds like it was made after Dragon's Quest 2.
Yes. I think the earliest example is Dragon Quest 4, but there might have been some in 3. Anyway.
Interesting.
Well, this game is very similar to that, which you'll have no frame of reference for. So that failed spectacularly. But the deal
maybe our
is,
listeners will know.
Yeah,
maybe our listeners have played games after 1990.
Each room in this game is composed of different tiles on the floor, and there are switches which kind of line the walls or different spaces throughout. And your character has a certain number of moves in which they must go through the entire room or in a particular order so that they can reach the exit. You have exactly enough moves to do that in a particular prescribed way. And if you fail to do that, then you're thrown back to the menu. And then there's a bug. But if you don't hit the bug, it's extremely satisfying. So it's got a great difficulty curve. It starts off pretty simple, and it adds new types of tiles and ways to move your character. Some of those arrows are static, meaning that you can't change their direction. Some of them you can with the switches, which line kind of the perimeter or center of any given room. So I found this to be a lot of fun, and it's a great little puzzle game. The bug that I mentioned is kind of weird. It's not even, I would say, in the realm of annoying. It's just kind of strange. It'll tell you, hey, you failed to complete this in a certain number of moves, and then you're thrown back to the menu, and then it'll say it again. That's all. So it's not the end of the world, but it certainly does bring to your attention that you messed up.
Message Infinite Star and see if she can fix it.
Yeah, I have meant to. I have not had a chance. But I've been too busy playing Shuv-It. So
yeah,
if that sounds appealing to you, give it a look. I think it is a really cool game, and I believe it is totally free.
It is totally free, and it looks like it was also made as a week-long solo game jam. Does that mean that Audrey Gu decided to take a week and make a game? I'm guessing. But anyway, it sounds really cool from your description. I love me a puzzler, and this sounds like a cool puzzler.
I'd say check it out.
It says retrospective dev logs about the project are forthcoming. So maybe we will know more if it was a single person game jam.
Hey,
did
Nick,
you guys ever play? Oh,
go for it, Don.
Did you ever play Tomb of the Mask on mobile?
No.
If listeners, if you've played Tomb of the Mask, the gameplay is similar.
Okay. All these post 1990 references. I have a pre 1990 reference I want to ask you about, Nick.
Okay.
Do you remember that little tomato game on Game Boy? Was it called Quirk? I think.
Quirk. Yeah, I just googled that too.
Yeah,
it's a little different, but
sort of looks and sounds like that. Maybe is it? Do you think or no?
No.
I haven't played Quirk, so
you've downloaded it and not played it. Okay, that's okay.
You can't download Quirk. I wish you could.
Quirk.
No, Quirk is a little different. Quirk, you're rotating obstacles to get through a maze. This is a little different.
Yeah.
So that's kind of more like Bobo Collect then.
Okay.
Yes. I guess. Yeah. Yes, it is, because you use the crank to rotate stuff.
Yeah.
None of these three games are that similar, besides you're going through a maze, I guess.
They are puzzle games broadly.
Yes.
So
they're all fun.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
So Don, tell us about your game.
Shuv-It was the game Nick was just talking about. My game this week is the big release. I decided I had the most to say about this one. So I'm going to talk about NecroCrisis from thestrangest.io. This was the game that was teased on Tiny Yellow Machine and then unveiled on Tiny Yellow Machine this week and came out this week. So for $6.66, it is a on-rails shooter. So in the vein of a Time Crisis or House of the Dead, you're going through a graveyard shooting zombies, and you use the D-pad to move your cursor and use the cranking it clockwise shoots, and cranking it backwards reloads. Counterclockwise reloads. So you're trying to be quick, and you can't reload until your clip is empty. That is maybe my one knock as being a shooter fan, is that I'm constantly wanting to top off my clip anytime there's a moment of downtime, and you can't do that. You got to empty the clip. But it's the graphics are really cool. There's like all these different layers. I don't know. Ryan uses whatever the word is for lots of different layers. He uses it a lot.
Parallax.
Parallax, yes. As I push my glasses up my nose.
Yes, thank you. Parallax scrolling and depth and whatnot. So there's lots of different sizes of zombies and sizes of tombs and sizes of trees and whatnot. So it's got a really nice depth of field and whatnot. And you have like this weird pulsating heart bone body chunk thing that is your life bar.
Yeah.
And so if you don't shoot a zombie fast enough, it'll shoot back at you, and then your life chunk bar
Zombies
goes down.
Well known for shooting.
Right. Well, yeah. It's basically narrated by Duke Nukem, but he has lots of quips, and one of them is I'm giving my best Duke Nukem impersonation. So very tongue-in-cheek. And yeah, it just feels like nothing else that's on the Playdate, and it's cool to see them trying something so far out of the box from what you would expect to be playing on the Playdate. But this also brought on this like high score chase on our Discord, on the official Discord. So there's a contest going. You can win a t-shirt and a stuffy or something. But it's just a cool, fun, high score chasing game. So it gets faster and faster as you go. I am still very bad at it, but they're very, very quick with the updates. It already got a huge update, like a day or two after it came out, with more. The biggest thing is that it has more sensitivity speeds now, so you can really move the cursor. Initially, the cursor was still pretty slow even at the fastest speed, but now it can top out at too fast of a speed. And so my first high score after the update was way higher than my best high score before the update. So anyway, I just thought this was like a really interesting out of the box release. So happy to see something like this on the Playdate. Yes, Nick,
believe it or not,
keep stopping you. Yes.
Believe it or not, I actually downloaded and tried this game.
Hey,
oh my gosh!
Yeah,
once spit out my water.
But it was prior to any updates though, so haven't been back. But yeah, I thought it was very fun as well. So I'm a big fan of on-rail shooters, like gun shooters, those kind of things. And it's been a while since I've played a good one, so thought this was a neat little treat.
I was kind of wanting Ryan to try it because of his high score chasing on other games, and I cannot find a comfortable way to hold the Playdate while playing the game. So I've tried it. If the case is on, sometimes I'm cranking and hitting the case, so I take the case off, but then I feel like it's digging into my hand. Like the case, I'm used to it being a little beefier and fitting my hand a little more comfortably. So it gets uncomfortable after a game or two. So I don't know like what the move is here.
Yeah, this is one I did not download and I did not play. It didn't tickle the Ryan fancy. You know, a bunch of shoot 'em up zombies. I just felt like I don't know if I need that in my life.
We need like
I like the more
or something.
Relaxing puzzlers and quirkiness of most of the season 1 releases. Like that's more my speed. The only shooters that I really enjoy are the ones that are like less realistic, like you're shooting in a carnival or something and you have targets, or like maybe NES Duck Hunt is about the most graphic that I would prefer.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
I've definitely been shying away from gun games the past couple of years. Just want a little bit of an escape. But I mean, they are zombies. I get that. But anyway, if you, the listener, have a comfortable way to hold the Playdate and move the cursor at the same time, please take a picture and send it to me. Our socials are in the show notes. My hand will thank you. I'm about to put on one of those like padded, maybe like a ski glove or something.
Yeah, wear like a work glove. Like one of those.
I can do that. Okay. Ryan, what kind? Oh, yes.
I was going to say, maybe you could mount it to your wrist like the Power Glove.
Now you're talking.
Okay, anyway, my indie pick of the week. Here we go.
Yes, what games are having?
That one went really well. Maybe you could edit that one out.
Let's edit that one out. Yeah.
All right, my indie pick of the week is AVAVA, however you want to say it. But Don mentioned this an episode or two ago when he was talking about the Play Jam, and when I happened into it, that sort of rang some bells for me. So I did download it and I did play it, and I had a lot of fun with it. So basically, as Don mentioned before, the letters in the title of the name are up, down, up, and they spell out AVAVA. And you are presented with 8 characters, one arrow pointing to the left, down, up, and right, except one of those directions are missing in those 8 arrows. And you've got to figure out which one that is and press it quickly. And if you can do that 5 times before a particular timer runs down, you are awarded with more points and you get to continue on. There's a little loose story to the whole thing. You're trying to appease these gods, and if you can find these runes, the left, right, up, and down, that you're trying to seek, then they will have mercy on you. And if you do not find these runes, then they get upset. So I really like this concept. I thought it was I thought it was really fun, really addictive. However, I do have some thoughts after playing for a while. There's somewhere in the literature, either on the itch page or on the game itself, where it talks about sort of getting into this like meditative mode. And I did find that. I found myself just sort of like not reading letter for letter, symbol for symbol, but rather just sort of scanning and intuiting what is not there in a very fast way, which was surprising to me. So as I got better, the game stayed the same. So I wish that there was some sort of ramping up of difficulty, like the timer is always the same, but maybe if you gave, the player was given less time as you progress through the game, and then that would really start sort of a high score challenge type of play. Whereas right now, I was playing for probably about 20 minutes and I still did not stop because the difficulty did not ramp up. It never became a big enough challenge. So I know that this was done in a week. I think it's a fantastic concept. I super hope that this is developed even further so that difficulty can ramp up and it will, I think, have a little longer legs than it does right now. Have either of you downloaded and played AVAVA?
I mean, I have, because I liked it. This was maybe my favorite game from the Play Jam too. I really enjoyed this one. I hope the dev goes further and fleshes it out. I think you could replace the character sprite with Wario, and it would be a really great WarioWare, kind of one of the longer mini games, not a micro game from any of the WarioWare series.
Downloaded but not played, guys. Sorry.
All right. So Don, actually, Don, I am curious about your thoughts. Did you have any suggestions for how to flesh this game out further beyond ramping up the difficulty in terms of diminishing time or anything else?
Something else would be maybe create patterns where it'd be like down, right, blank space or something, or down, right, blank space. So where you are having to suss out the pattern and then recreate it on the fly with a timer kind of barking at you, not just finding the missing symbol. But I like the missing symbol gameplay, so mix that in there too. Maybe even a rhythm element where some rooms are either flashing or have a sound, obviously, and then you have to hit the rune in time with the beat. Have those be random rooms, because you're going through room. You could conceivably go through rooms and have different experiences pretty quickly.
That is a good idea. Dungeon. That is a good idea. I like that.
What about you?
I encountered a couple, I don't know what you call them, puzzles, runes laid out for me that were only 2 directions. And so I'd just press one of the directions that wasn't there and it wouldn't be it. So I'd try the other one and then it let me go. I also encountered a section where I was extraordinarily sure that I pressed the correct rune that was not present, and it, shook his head at me, and I had to press a rune that was a mistake in order to move on. So there are a couple bugs in there that I might also suggest to look into. But again, I was playing it for 20 minutes straight. I was waiting for a guy to mix some paint for me.
Yeah.
Aside from that, I really enjoyed my experience with it and sincerely hope that it is further developed. It's a cool game.
Another idea is there are a lot of games where they'll do a QTE, like a quick time event, where you match the pattern. So you could push down, right up as quick as possible to get through that room. I think 8 numbers or 8 directions is a good length. Yeah, it's like long enough you can't just know it instantly, but it's not so long that pushing 8 directions would take all day. And I guess you could add the A and B buttons in there as well if you're doing that kind of thing. So
throw some cranking in there.
Throw some cranking in.
Undock
it's a cool idea. There's a lot you could do. So I hope this gets fleshed out, obviously.
Well, if he throws in the A and B buttons, then it would have to be called AVAVA, right?
AVAVA, yeah. It'll just be a surprise. That'll be the hidden extra letter on the title.
All right. Well, that's going to be my last dad joke for the indie games of the week. Why don't we move on to season games of the week?
Yes. Week 11. Can you believe it? Week 11. 1 week left.
That is bonkers.
Yeah. Okay. So, Forrest Byrnes, Up in Smoke. Let's see if I can read this one paragraph without making a mistake for the first time in the show. Join Forrest Dang it already.
Oh!
Not Forrest Byrnes. Join Forrest Byrnes to fight a malignant blaze threatening our sumptuous woodlands. Can you save the wayward campers? Will you see the danger that stalks the forest? Only you can help Forrest stop this shameful waste. So this was developed by Nels Anderson with graphics by Cast Pixel and sound by A Shell in the Pit, which are...
Oh my God. Look at that shrink wrap graphic on there for the game page. Oh, that's beautiful.
That's
Love
awesome.
That.
Yeah.
Love that.
Although it says used. Well, I like that. I guess that somebody
There's
just
a couple
didn't change
sale
the
prices
tape.
on there.
Somebody didn't change the tape in the gun. They put a used sticker on it. Obviously, shrink wrap new game. The art's fantastic. Well, what do you guys think, Nick? Drive the bus. What do you think?
So this game is basically a platformer, and you're running through one of several different randomly selected levels, and there are randomly selected things for you to pick up, items. So there are these little badges that you can pick up, and you can rescue children, and you can get puzzle pieces, the most important currency in this world. More important than children or badges are puzzle pieces. So the puzzle, the children do nothing for you, and the badges, if you collect enough of them over the course of multiple runs, then you get an extra life.
This must have been made by a parent.
The puzzle pieces, each puzzle piece corresponds to 1/4 of these beautiful posters, and they're beautiful and funny, I would say. So this game really did not grab me on initial play. I was confused by some of the graphics. I didn't have my glasses on, so
my glasses
that may have been a factor. But
I was too busy yelling at children on my lawn.
I was. And playing in total darkness. But other than that,
it sounds like you gave this game a heck of a shot, Nick.
A real chance. Anyway, so I set it down after that initial playthrough, and I was like, "Whoa, this was a rough game." And then I came back to it.
Too dark and blurry for me.
It sure was. So I came back to it, and guess what? I put on my glasses, and I turned a light on, and it was a lot easier to play.
And got the kids off your lawn.
I played this game until I revealed all of the posters. I don't know if there's any reward for collecting or freeing all of the children. There's different situations that you have to free the children from. Somehow these children have managed to get themselves caught under rocks all over the place in this park as it's burning. and you have a shovel, so you're kind of like Shovel Knight. You have a bounce that's kind of similar-ish to Shovel Knight / Scrooge McDuck in DuckTales, but you only get one bounce at a time unless you keep hitting a button.
Okay.
I heard that
mm-hmm.
before you even vocalized it. So, and
actually,
there's a few other interactable elements within each run. So there are tall dead trees that you can knock down with your shovel. There's also wells that you can crank to get usually a badge, sometimes a delicious puzzle piece though. And
wait, what did you just say?
What?
You get puzzle pieces from wells? That's false.
I think so.
I always
Is
get
that right?
a kid out of there.
Yeah, same.
Is
you
it
get
a kid?
Kiddos from the wells.
Oh,
yeah,
I forgot.
Delicious kids.
All right.
Yes. Yeah, it's not a puzzle piece that follows you around. Come on, Nick. Put those glasses on.
Anyway, even with glasses, I would say that I still had a hard time differentiating between various elements within the environments. I don't think that a side-scrolling platformer is really the strength of the Playdate. After playing this game and a few others, I think single-screen games are much easier to visually parse. So for me, I had some troubles playing this game, even though I was compelled to get all of the posters. The posters were a great reward, though, and I really enjoyed collecting those. So, how about you guys, Ryan? Tell us about it.
Well, I had my glasses on and the lights turned on when I played this, and so I think I enjoyed it a little more than you did. I guess we'll see when we come to our ranking, but I fancied this game. I also think that it has some really banging artwork. I don't think it tops Spellcorked for the best artwork on season 1, but it's pretty close. Lots of really fun, approachable character designs. You mentioned the posters, which are fun to reveal. I like I think unlike Nick, I liked the gameplay and the movement and the side scrolling and the throwback to DuckTales that Nick mentioned. Yeah, I enjoyed all that. I like that there's this massive fire burning its way toward you that forces you to keep moving. You can't dilly-dally around. You really have to, be on your toes and progress through the game, which makes some obstacles a real nice challenge. Like if you have to go up top and over and down and come back to find a boulder buried child or something, then you really have to move, or else sometimes you even rescue the child and the child gets swallowed in the fire.
Yeah.
My son really did not like that. He's, you lost the kid. I'm like, not that important, which really made him upset. But anyway, I had a lot of fun with this. I liked the pogo stick mechanic, which makes absolutely no sense bouncing on a shovel, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. I like the different things you can do with a shovel, meaning you can swing it. You can also dig up items with it. You can chop down trees with it. There's a surprising number of things you can do. And I also like the fact that they work the crank into a side-scrolling platformer. I know it's only occasionally, and I think that's probably how it should be in a side-scrolling platformer. But when you get to those wells and crank up the kid, that was a fun little I have to move my hand, type of thing, to sort of like force you to stall a little bit, and it gives you a nice sense of anticipation as that fire is coming and you need to really, really move. A couple things I wanted to mention. While I felt like I could read the graphics just fine on this game, I did have some confusion about, like, did I complete this game? I filled out all the posters just like Nick, but I guess that felt a little anticlimactic. So maybe there's more, or if there's not, then I would love more of a reward at the end of this whole thing. I had another thing in my brain that flew out. So I'm going to see if I can retrieve that while Don talks about this game.
We forgot to mention that Nels Anderson was, I think, the creative director on Firewatch, which was a Campo Santo game that Panic published.
Mm-hmm.
So they already had a relationship going. And Forrest Byrnes was sort of the mascot in that game, although I don't remember him.
I don't either. Yeah.
I finished Firewatch and I loved it, but I don't remember. So maybe he was just on booklets or something, and I just breezed by it. But anyway, I wish there was an extra mode where the fire wasn't coming at you and you could just kind of take your time, because having the fire constantly pushing you in kind of a Pac-Man 256 fashion, like the death screen chasing you down, it wasn't super aggressive, so you could kind of double back a little bit and grab a puzzle piece if you went past it. But I would have liked to have explored the levels a little more. And more often than not, I would get to the end of a level and not have collected everything and not really understand what I missed or where it was. So the graphics, they're nice, but they are complex enough where obviously collectibles are hidden, and I didn't even spot where they were. So that was a little frustrating.
I think that if they removed the fire, the chase element there, then it would reveal some of the seams of the game a little more, because I don't think there are that many different variations of level.
No.
So if you took that away, it would, just kind of lay bare the actual design underlying it.
I understand why it's there. I wouldn't mind a Zen mode where I could kind of enjoy it a little more. I lost my train of thought too. Did you find yours?
I did. Brian? I picked it up. Okay. I left it on the ground here, and it's in my hand now. The other thing I wanted to mention was the fact that this platformer shoots you into random levels. Like there's not a level 1-1, 1-2. There's not a sequential progression through this game, which weirded me out at first and really broke my brain, because I would fail on the first level it put me into, and then it shoots me into this entirely different level. Like I'm used to retrying and remembering my mistakes from the past or the level that I just did, and then correcting those because I'm doing it again. This game did not really give you the chance to do that until you cycle through however many levels there are, which at first I was not a fan of. But the more I played it, the more I enjoyed sort of the mystery of what's to come. Like it really keeps you on your toes in that sense. Don, did you find
it was the rogue legacy element?
I don't know what that means, but
it's sort of a not a roguelike element, but sort of a little bit of that, a little touch of that, where you just don't know what the level is going to do next. I actually appreciate that, because the levels are so short. You're finishing levels in 30 seconds most of the time.
So I actually have a final thought. Don, did you find your last thought also? Or is it buried under the carpet somewhere?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm good.
So one last thing I wanted to mention here is, did you guys find the secret in this game?
I didn't find the secret. I found my thought, though.
Okay, let's hear that thought first. Let's end with the
secret. The thought was I had a really hard time with the controls, especially at first. The jumping did not feel responsive enough. And when I voiced that on the Playdate Squad Discord, a lot of other people chimed in. And you usually don't see a lot of action in the weekly sub channels. But there was, I don't know, 4 or 5 people that were like, yeah, the jumping feels off. So I don't know what it was. Did you guys have the same problem?
It's the sprite and how much space it takes to display it versus how much space it takes up as it's jumping, and where I'm not voicing that well, but where you intend to land is not where you actually land, like the box. Okay. So there's one jump in particular in one type of stage that is almost impossible if you're doing it the way it looks like it should be done. So you have to like run way out off the edge of the thing
tree
before
line?
You jump.
Tree branch?
Yeah. No tree branch necessarily, but there's one jump that's like from way down to way up, and there's not a way to do it even pogoing. You just have to time it just right, or else you're gonna die. Anyway.
Okay, that was it, Ryan.
Okay, back to secret time. Did you guys figure out how to play not as Forrest Byrne, but the little girl?
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. No.
So there is a way that you can play as a little girl, and instead of a giant forest fire chasing you, there's all these like weird monster anime characters chasing you instead. It's really
cool.
interesting. It's basically the same game. You're going through the same levels, but you are a different character, and there is a different thing chasing you.
Are
We?
there different posters?
No, there are not different posters. If you complete a level and you've completed posters, the posters still remain completed. It's not there's nothing else to do. It's just basically a new character skin and a new forest fire skin.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to hear how to do it, look at the timestamps in the show notes and skip ahead to the next review.
All right, fast forward 30 seconds now.
Oh, well, there'll be a timestamp.
Oh, okay. Well, or do that. So here it comes. Go to the credits of the game, and if you crank, you see more credits, and then the credits disappear. But there's still a sound happening from the Playdate, like letting you know that you're still cranking, even though it's on a blank screen. And then eventually a photograph or a image of Forrest Byrne comes up and says some big brotherish type message. He's watching you, or I can't remember what. Anyway, it's like bingity bing, does some little dance and then shoots you into a game with this new character and new chase skin. So I thought that was a fun little Easter egg to find.
I stopped cranking in the credits right when his face came up, and must have been an inch away from that. That's great.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Cool.
Give it a try.
Okay. All right. Should we rank this thing?
Let's do it.
Yep.
All right. Nick, where do you have Forrest Byrnes in Up in Smoke? Is Up in Smoke?
I would put this at number 17, right above Whitewater Wipeout.
Ooh.
Not ooh.
Ooh.
All good
very
games.
Exciting.
Ooh.
Yeah.
True. Right. I always get a little bit weepy-eyed when I see how far down Whitewater Wipeout is for Nick.
Wait until we get to our postseason.
And we reorganize all these guys.
You're gonna have to bring my box of tissues.
I've got number 16 under Star Sled, above Zipper.
Right on. And I tossed it up at number 13. I guess I liked this the most out of any of us. I thought it was a quirky, fun platformer. I enjoyed it.
Cool. Okay. That is fair enough. Should we get to, let's see, our last game? We reorganized the show notes here. Battleship Godios? Does that sound right? Godios?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. This is made by TMPCO Soft, and Battleship Godios is a game with a high level of difficulty and trial and error gameplay that makes retrying inevitable. Use the limited number of bullets to break down battleships. So, what did you guys think about Battleship Godios?
Mm-hmm.
Ryan?
Nick, you want to go first?
Oh,
Me?
I mean, not Ryan.
I don't care.
I can take it.
Right.
So this game plays like Gradius mixed with Arkanoid. So the bullet that you have is like an Arkanoid ball, and you launch it at an angle. It's like you're playing Pong, but trying to destroy ships with that. Unfortunately, you also have to catch the ball as it ricochets back, and then you can launch it again. So it's like you have the sticky power up on Arkanoid. But you can freely move anywhere on the screen. There are a couple of gotchas. The first is that, generally speaking, each ship that you are attacking has a particular weak point. So you have to find the gooey, delicious, nougaty center of each ship. And sometimes you have to break away some of the outer armor in order to find it. Sometimes you're like in the very first stage, you're thrust right into the face of one of those things, and you can release a ball and it will destroy the thing. But those ships are attacking you at the same time that you're trying to determine where the delicious weak spot is, and it makes it very, very challenging to find that tiny little ball, especially in stage 1, uh, and be able to knock out the enemies. And knock them out you shall, or you must, I should say, because if you don't, you cannot progress. It counts as a failure if you just manage to stay alive. You have to destroy everything. Um, so this game, very, very challenging, I found. Uh, I was able to progress to stage 3, but then was not able to get any further. Um, I tried many, many times and had a very hard time seeing much of anything on this game. We talked about Forrest Byrnes and how the kind of all the graphics. Uh, I was saying how all the graphics kind of work together to be very pleasing, but it does make it very visually confusing for me. And this even more so, even though the backgrounds are extremely simple, mostly white space. But all of the weapons fire from from the enemies and the movement of the enemies and the things that you're tasked with focusing on made it extremely, extremely difficult for me. You get more than one shot as soon as you finish the first stage, and I found that a nice reward. I do think if they gave you 2 in the first stage, it would probably be a little better, but that's just me. So for me, I think this one would be improved if there was a way to continue where you left off, or I don't know how many stages there are. Maybe there's only like 5 stages. But whatever the case is, it's real hard. So that's my thoughts. Ryan, what about you?
Yes, I agree with your point that it's real hard. This is a very challenging game, and I try to make the most out of the games that I play on this, and have got some decent scores. This one wiped the floor with me. I played a lot, even just to get past stage 3, and then I did manage to get to stage 5 one time. But I feel like, man, I was really having the game of my life. I will give you a brief actually, Nick. The stages do not have to be fully completed. You do not have to defeat every single ship, but I believe what you have to do is defeat the last ship on the level. Okay. So I think it was level 3 or 4 where I was able to let a ship or 2 go. And still complete the level, still move on. So I think it is that last level. I think this is real hard. The angular shot that you have to take with the ship is one of those break my brain type of things. Just felt so strange to me. And the fact that you have to retrieve your shots is also a difficult thing to do on occasion. I understand that there are power-ups that you can get in order to grab them if they are moving in front of you. So that's helpful. There's also power-ups that allow you to add more shots to your arsenal, meaning instead of just one little ball to shoot out, you get 3 or 5 or maybe more sometimes. So there are opportunities to help your gameplay. And that was how I finally completed level 4. Is it 4? There's basically a ship up top where you have to break some bricks in it, and then defeat its GUI center, as Nick told you about. And when you do, it gives you a power up, but this power up is like lodged in the ship, and you kind of have to like dip down and dip back up while that other ship is moving. And it is nigh impossible to grab that thing. I eventually did, but if you can get that, then it really helps defeat that final ship, because then you can just really pummel the ship's center once you have all those extra shots. So I don't know. It's a real challenging one. What did you think, Don?
Well, that extra power up, the one you're specifically talking about, whenever I would collect it, it would bring up the freeze frame where it wanted me to rewind the gameplay. I don't even know if we even mentioned that you can rewind it.
Oh, yeah.
That is a really interesting feature. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, but it was kind of ticking me off because I kept going out of my way to grab that power up and then the game would freeze. Like I died, but I was just touching the power up. So I didn't know if it was a bug or some weird power up or something.
You probably just grazed the ship, right?
No, every single time though. Like I know not to touch the ship, and every single time I touched the power up, it would freeze. So I thought maybe this is some like super nuke or slow mo. Like I thought maybe it was a different type of move or something. I don't know.
Is that stage 4? Is that a vertical stage?
No, it's horizontal.
No.
Oh, okay.
All the way through 5 at least is horizontal. There is a thing in stage 3 or 4, Don, where okay, so I want to rewind a little bit. Instead of lives, it gives you rewinds, which I think is really interesting. So when you crash your ship, it doesn't throw you back to the beginning. It sort of pauses and you use the crank to sort of rewind time, and you get to decide where you rewind time to and then restart there. So I thought that was actually a really interesting mechanic, like rewinds in lieu of lives. But Don, getting to your point, I'm wondering if you're talking about stage 3 or 4 where there was a power up that gives you a rewind even though you did not die, but it's located sort of like on the bottom floor of either 3 or 4. Is that what you're talking about?
I think it might be stage 3. It is near the bottom, but why does it make you use the rewind right away? Like it always paused for a rewind, but I don't want to rewind because I just collected the power up. I just want to go back up and shoot.
Yeah, well, that power up is a rewind. So if you don't want a rewind, then do not grab that power up.
But why would you ever use a rewind?
Because if you shot all your
to use it, if you have no bullets,
all your balls out, then you can go back in time and grab them. Yep,
that makes a lot more sense. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah,
okay, so the first time I played, I used my bullet up and did not catch it. Was like, what the hell is this game? This is trash. I don't understand this. But it didn't take me long to figure out. Oh, you're supposed to catch your bullet. Yeah. And then I really loved it. I wanted to ask Nick especially. Did you ever play Blastworks? Can you see this, Nick? Blastworks for the Wii.
I have not.
So this is a similar type of game, but the bosses are basically what you're making in Blastworks. It's a side-scrolling shooter, but you keep collecting parts of other ships, and you become this giant wad of junk, just shooting bullets everywhere as you're floating forward. Really, really fun game on the Wii. But all the boss ships look like that, and I was immediately the first time I played, I was like, "Oh, this is Blastworks," but it reverse Blastworks or something.
That's cool.
Anyway, I really liked the premise of this. I liked the shooting downward at an angle. I like the ricocheting bullets. I like catching the bullets. I love the rewind, but I hate the ceiling. If they got rid of the ceiling, I think that would add legs to the game, because the ceiling, creates bottlenecks, I guess, goes up and down. It really makes you have to dodge scenery as well as missiles and other really blocky ships that are coming towards you, those are all kind of tropes of a shoot 'em up or a side-scrolling shooter, but this is such a small screen. It made it way too hard. I think just omitting the ceiling maybe would have given it the extra legs. I had a really hard time too. I think I made it to level 4 a few times, but I don't think I ever passed level 4. And those ships are so aggressive. They're really coming at you. But I do remember, like Ryan said, I did let one ship go past me. You're able to get kind of over the top, and it just keeps going.
Mm-hmm. So, Don, you said you wish they did away with the ceiling. Is that because you wish there was more vertical space for your ship to travel, or because you're okay?
Because it was too claustrophobic, too contained.
Okay, I ask only because you cannot die from running into the ground or the ceiling, which I thought was interesting.
What?
I was always trying not to touch it. So
you can run right into the ground and ceiling. Okay. You cannot run into ships or their projectiles, but you can bonk your way around the top and bottom of these levels.
That changes a lot.
Yeah, I'll give it another go then. I was so paranoid about hitting the ceiling.
I was too. Okay.
Every one of my deaths was from a ship.
Yeah,
I would just run out of room and get squeezed into a corner, and Oh well, okay. I didn't shoot it, so I guess I'm dead now.
I'm
start hugging that ceiling.
Scarred by Gradius, I guess. That's
yeah.
That was like the one gimme that this game gave you. Okay. Like it's so hard otherwise. Yeah.
Huh.
And there's also like the I guess the Arkanoid paddle that you get that floats in front of you.
Yeah.
There was one game where I was using that to a really good advantage, like really bouncing it back and forth. And I think you can use it to collect the shots too, in some fashion. But then the rest of the time I didn't understand how it worked. So I don't know why it clicked once and then stopped clicking for me. The rest of the time I almost ignored it. Like the first time I used it, it really clicked. I was like I was collecting the shots and I was moving my ship back and forth. So I would move the barrier back and forth to collect the shots. And then after that, I just would forget it was there every time I played or just... So maybe I'm not taking advantage of that and need to wrap my head around that. I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of cool little gameplay elements here, and the game. It's so hard that my gameplay time was so short. I didn't feel like I got to explore the different elements fully. Like there's no slow ramp up into difficulty. It's just a wall basically. I mean, the first level is pretty easy, but then after that, it gets challenging right away.
Yeah. I agree with what you said right there. There's a lot of interesting gameplay elements. I think what gives me the size on this game is not being able to see more of it. Like I want to see more of it. I enjoy it, but gosh darn, is it ever hard? And like if we could make it to, I don't know, like give us something to shoot for. Like maybe after every 4 levels you get a password and then you can start from there or something. But like starting all over from level 1 to see level 5, I probably played 2, 3, 4, 5 dozen games in order to get to level 5. It was a lot.
Let me ask you guys this question because you're making me feel like I'm really losing my eyesight here. Did you have any trouble seeing your own projectiles?
No.
A little bit. It's a pretty small projectile.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the best looking games in a way in gameplay perspective because there's no background.
Yeah.
I thought it was really clear, but I
agree with that. But I've got some kind of problem, I guess, because I could not see my own projectiles no matter what.
You'd run that Peach truck up to Virginia, get you some vitamin C or whatever.
Have them play the game for me, I suppose.
Wow.
But
anyway. Yeah, Nick, when you mentioned at the start that this was, I forget what you said exactly, but unclear graphics, and I heard Don with a questioning I've got to side with Don. I think the graphics are pretty clear. It's hard to get more clear than black on white. It's a completely white background and you've got your ship there. But I will give you the fact that projectile of yours is awfully small.
It's like 4 pixels. So
literally.
But
4 Playdate pixels. Those are tiny.
Yeah, they are. So that's the main qualm I have with the graphics. Because
you want big head mode.
I want big bullet mode. Yeah.
Big bullet mode, yeah.
Give me some kind of aura around the bullet or something so I can see it. I don't know.
Well, let's see how...
Well, I was going to say a password. You brought up something at the very end. A password system would be nice on this one.
Yeah.
You put in a password, get to level. Justin Bailey, you get level 5 right away.
All right. Well, sans password and big bullets. Let's see how we rank this thing.
All right.
Nick, you want to go first?
Sure. I will put this at number 17, right under Forrest Byrnes and above Whitewater Wipeout.
Keep pushing that Whitewater down.
I'm sorry. That was number 18.
No. I'm about to also push Whitewater down. Right under Boogie Loops is
Jiminy Christmas. Chuhai's never going to listen to our show again. Let's see. I'm going to put Godios at number 15, under Zipper, above Boogie Loops.
Did you even mention that Whitewater got an update and you got the first quad or whatever?
No.
First on record quad, Ryan?
Quintuple. Excuse me.
Quint. Sorry.
Anyway, yeah, thank you for mentioning that. So Whitewater Wipeout got an update, and it is now possible to get quintuple twists in the air. And I actually managed to get one, so that was pretty exciting. I was so excited when I was recording. I forgot I was recording and released a gigantic "oh" at the end of the video, so you can audibly take part in that and hear how excited I really was.
They need to add that as one of those speech bubbles.
Right. Oh! All right. So now I have a second speech balloon, and Don has a second speech balloon by saying, actually.
Ryan, did you rank this thing?
I did. I just ranked it as number 15, under zipper, above boogie loops. Right. Don's episodic blackout, not knowing if we ranked them or not.
I am sorry. I'm too busy waiting to talk instead of listening. Right? Lousy Americans. Okay, thank you so much for listening. Is there anything else we have left to say?
That's it. Let's wrap it up. So this can be an hour-long episode.
Well, we started late. We were trying to record Nick singing, and so we hit record. But thank you for listening. You can always check us out, playdatepodcast.com. All of our socials are in the show notes. And stop by Discord. And we might as well put a plea out for iTunes reviews, right? That's a thing podcasts do. We've never done that.
Yeah, that's true.
On any of our subsequent podcasts in the past 10 years. But yeah, why not?
That helps us get all those podcasting dollars.
Yeah, we're going to get rich. Be able to buy all these $4 Playdate games. So thank you so much, and we will catch you next week for the last season release scheduled games.
Whoa, my goodness.
Wrap up.
Bye, guys.
Good night.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.